Hi there, it's Riikka Kovasin here today, and I'm sharing a process video for 3 cards. They are all done with the same steps, but a little variation, and this is how I usually work when making cards, so I get a bunch done easily. My inspiration for these cards were this 12 by 12 pattern paper called Love 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 from the Rustical Time collection. I wanted to use those moths as the focal point for the cards, and also the tones of the paper really kind of guided my choices of colors for the whole project. But let's get started. As you can see, I first cut out some bases for the cards just out of cream colored cardstock. I was hesitant to do 2 or then 3, but I decided to turn each of those moths into cards, so I'm making 3. When I then had my bases done, I took an A.B.Studio stencil and started adding inks through it to the card bases. I'm using 3 inks, 1 blue, 1 brown and 1 grey color, and kind of mixing them on top of the project, so I get this lovely varying effect. After inking all the cards, I then add some stamping on top, and after that a little pencil line, kind of just to guide the eye in, and then I add some water, like mist some water on top to make those inked layers a little bit more watercolor looking and maybe a little distressed, because I'm using distressed inks, and then I add splashes on top. I'm using the same ink colors for the splashes that I used through the stencil. Then I start making the elements. I've already cut out the moths from the paper, and now I'm patterning some of the chipboard gears I'm going to use as a base layer for them. So first I'm adding a layer of gold embossing powder, then a brown layer on top, letting the 2 colors mix, and the 3rd layer is then distressed powder, so I'm just adding a little bit here and there, not covering the whole thing, but get that worn, weathered look to it. I'm then repeating the same steps to all of the 3 gears to get the embellishments done for the cards. Now I have my elements done, so it's time to start building the cards. I'm feeling that the bases, even though I like them, they need a little bit more contrast. So first I'm taking a black paint pen and drawing some circles to the background, and then I'm also adding a stenciled layer. This time a little bit raised one, because I'm using heavy black gesso, so that will create a dimensional layer. And this also adds that contrast to each of the cards, adding that kind of dark end of the spectrum. After letting the paste dry, I then ink around the edges of the cards and start making the focal assembling. For that I'm using a couple pieces of paper, torn and cut from the 6x6 Rustical Time paper pad, and then staple the layers together. On top I then layer the moth and the gear. To add a little interest to the cluster as well, I'm adding a brad to each of the paper pieces. When I then was happy with the compositions, I glued and adhered everything together and mounted the center pieces on top of grey cards I made. Now the finishing touch is to add a sentiment to each, and I'm kind of can't make up my mind whether to use a longer or a shorter one, so I'm just kind of trying these out on top. What I also did before is to add a kind of 4-stitch line around the edges using a black marker. Lastly, I opt for the longer versions and then add a little metal embellishments to finish each card. And here they are, all ready and done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this video and I hope it inspires you. If you're doing cards, maybe try to do a couple of next times, kind of a variation of the same theme. I'll be seeing you again next month with another video for A.B.Studio. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.